With bigger letters so that people could read them without reading glasses. Oh,
that would be impossible, sweetie. It adds to the mystique of it. It's like those triangles on the bottom of the bottles. So which bin you have to put? That's the mystery. You have to find out.
I'm glad you like it.
I love it. I always have this fascination with Palo Santo, and it's so expensive.
Yeah.
It's really expensive.
I use the essential oil, and I get it from Aromatics International, but it works. The stuff works.
Yes.
It works better for me than sage does.
And having a person that is allergic to everything and a severe asthmatic.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
that doesn't upset your asthma or anything like that?
No.
Oh, good.
And I have put this in things that you would not dare to even imagine. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
That's great.
And I was waiting for him to, to reach for his inhaler or the nothing. Because I have that problem. I can't burn incense in my own apartment because I have a person that is allergic to everything.
Yeah.
And it's not the choo-choo. No, this person goes into full-blown Alex. Yeah.
Yeah. Incense is a tricky thing. I don't like to use it a whole lot because of the smoke. It gets to me, I'm sort of cut. I can't get my lighting right. It's cut off, I think. I look like a halvesy now, half dark, half light. Shoot, dang it. Maybe I'll just leave it like it was. But yeah, I have those. I'm gonna put those on my website, and I'm opening up an Etsy shop to sell stuff like that and incense blends through my friend's art studio and everything. So it's quite exciting. I'm going to, if you want more, I will have them for sale.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to put down in the description the whole enchilada of her information, the page, her webpage, the website, everything. Because honestly, this is different. And I come from a long line of botanicas. I go creeping botanicas because you just go with your sunglasses because you don't want anybody to know that you're there. And they sell this really flimsy products when it comes to saging and when it comes to the smudge sprays, and it has, especially in the spray cans, that destroys your lungs.
Oh.
So that was the experience that I had with the smudge sprays. So when I saw this, I said, this is nice.
Yeah.
This is really nice. And you can put it, I don't know if that's how you should use it, but this is my experience. I have put it on towels, on silk, on my hair. I even threw a blessing to my son. He's gone overseas. He came for Christmas. So I said, bless me, mother. And I went.
Clears that aura, man. That's how I learned to use it, because my friend, my tarot teacher, would use it like the very first day I walked into the into the room to do the class, she's like, hey, and she hugged me, and then she was like, assume the position, and she sprayed me down and turned around and sprayed me down. I was like, oh, okay. But after that, it was like, yes, spray me down.
No, and it helps because it clears everything.
Yeah.
You actually feel like it's a repellent.
You can feel it. You can feel the stuff float away. It's weird. It's so cool. I love it. And all it is oil and the essential oil, and then distilled water is all I use for my recipe. So awesome.
A side note, that's why people like me that have contact dermatitis can use it and not have a reaction.
Good.
Yeah, because I'm also the kind of person that I get a rash for everything. So
you get a rash.
I'm a very reliable human subject to test certain things. If I don't get a reaction or I don't explode or turn blue,
that's good.
It's a good way of putting it. So, how we have talked briefly before, especially one-on-one, ever since we started the project of the Christian Witches Roundtable. How that changed you? Because I know it changed me a lot.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's given me a lot more courage. And I didn't realize, like, I'm opening this new business, and I've just been pushed out into the court fully on so many levels, like with the group and locally. Like, there's no more fear at all with anything. I had so much fear. I had not fear in the paths that I was doing, but what others would think and how others would react, and how that would affect not only me, but my family and my kids and things like that. Just all kinds of little demons, if you will, crowding around and getting in my head and saying, you can't do that because of that, and just roundabout thought processes. And it's all poof, it's gone. It's all gone. And it's so much freedom that I feel now that I didn't feel before. And so much bravery and courage. I don't feel an ounce of fear at all that I did.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, a year or 2 years ago. I'm just like, no, it's like anything. I can do anything. It's awesome. It's awesome. And
it's amazing. Really, it's really amazing because, I wasn't kidding. I spent those 2 weeks literally in bed. And I started having these really vivid dreams about our little group.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I was really excited, but you know, that nervous, scary, good scared type of thing.
Yeah.
And it was really weird. And I started seeing the development of the page, the development of how you guys have come and gone regarding going public, regarding certain things. And I thought that my how may I put this? My role in that movie had ended to a degree because I knew that this needed to happen. I didn't know why, but I knew it needed to happen. And within that dream that I had, Kristin found her voice and her courage. And it was presented in the same way that the Wizard of Oz. And I know that sounds I know that sounds interesting because everything was really weird. And it was like a combination between the Michael Jackson Wizard of Oz and the original one. So it was really weird. There were headless witches and rainbows everywhere.
Well, I'm a dancer and so is Michael, so it works.
That's why. Wow. And there was this joy. And I started realizing things about you guys that I knew before, but I thought that maybe that was something that you guys didn't want to interact yet. And with you, it was bringing something that not many people know about. And I think it has to do with your business. And it has to do with, because you were surrounded by books. You were completely surrounded by books, and you wanted to talk about and debate about things that other people have told you, no, you can't.
Right.
And that in itself, I said, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. And in that same day, the Sprite arrived.
Oh, that's funny.
No, it was scary confirmation. Because I didn't want to say anything, because when a dream or something happens that it rocks me in that way, I always sit on it for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, should I tell the person? Shouldn't I tell the person? Maybe it's gonna ruin everything else. But when I opened the box, the bottle was so cold that it had crystallized in the
really?
outside. Yes. And I know this is gonna sound even weirder. I had a fever of 102. That's one of the reasons why I thought the whole thing was just a feverish dream.
Right.
But when I took it, the box was room temperature. But when I took the product out, it had ice crystals.
Weird.
And, yes.
I didn't put it in the fridge.
No.
Well, my essential oils are stored in the fridge. Maybe that's what, I don't know. It's so weird.
But all the way to California?
No.
Believe me, I thought about any other, and we don't have snow here. It was only 48 degrees outside. That's it.
Cold when I dipped them. I don't know.
Not at all. And I showed it to my daughter. My daughter, maybe that's a feature. And I remember that I went like this first. Don't ask me why. And it felt so good. And then I went like this, and it felt even better. I said, okay. And I went like that. And my daughter, that she is not that. I thought she wasn't very keen of differentiate sense, and go, Palo Santo. That's it. That's it. That's it. So I wrote down everything that I remembered about the dream, and that's why that's exactly what I posted in the group chat. Because even if it was a feverish dream, even if it was something that at least if you guys needed to hear it or to confirm something, at least it was there. At least it was there.
Right. Oh, it confirmed a lot with me. I had been asked to do this business by my friend who owns the art studio in mid-November. And when she asked me, she's like, well, you need the space. It's time for you to come out. And I was like, no. She's like, well, my friend moved out. What are you going to, you can do all your work there. And I was like, what am I going to do? And she's like, your stuff, your witchy stuff, like hold meditations, teach people, candle magic. Come on, Kristin. I was like, I can't afford that. No. And she over time, she was like, you need this. It's time. And the more I sat there and the more she talked to me, the more something just happened inside. I can't even explain it. It was all these epiphanies just started dropping down from heaven. And they started hammering on me, and my smile got bigger and bigger. And then I started hyperventilating. I was like, oh my God, I think I have to do this. And it was like, literally, I felt like, how when you go into labor and the baby's going to come and you feel like you've got to put it was, I swear, it was just like that. I'm getting full body chills right now.
Wow.
But it was just like that. And when it happened, how when you're birthing something and it's just birthed and you don't really want to tell anybody, you're just kind of keeping it to where it's incubated. And I kept it like that until after I made you guys the sage sprays or the smudge sprays and then sent them out that way, because I wanted to make sure that everything was as it should be and that I was guided by spirit fully before I went and told everybody. So yeah, it's been huge. God is like, you are not sitting on the sideline. Because in the past, I'd sit on the sidelines and I'd go and make YouTube videos and I'd be out for a little bit, but I wasn't ever fully 110% out. There was always something holding me back. Some family member didn't know who I was. Somebody, something, somewhere. And there was always some fear. once all that fear left, it was like, I should have done this a long damn time ago. I don't know. And I am so ecstatically happy. I don't even understand what I was afraid of in the first place.
That's usually how it goes. That is exactly usually how it goes. Then you feel like stupid as crap. I should have done this 5-10 years ago.
I know. And my friend's like, it's okay, perfect timing. This is all perfect. I'm like, wow. And I thought about that. I was like, you know, I could have done this 7 years ago. My friend had a shop and she wanted me to do the same thing. She asked me, I was like, no. And she's like, come on, you're really good. You need to be doing this in public, like for real. and I was like, no. But my kids were small. They were like in first grade and preschool, and it wasn't time.
Yeah.
And I think that when, you know, now that they're in junior high and last year of elementary, it's time. It's just time, you know, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Oh my God, I couldn't be more thrilled. Just the opportunity to open other people's minds and open their doors, and then seeing everybody just come back with me with all the blessings and throwing them out and having them come back and watching all that happen is complete amazingness. It's just amazing. And even the smudge sprays, I make those for you guys and you're like, oh my God. Everybody's like, oh my God, I love it. And I'm like, oh my God, I think I found my crafty thing to advertise. It's just like,
and that is the whole point. That is the whole point. Because you have no idea how frustrating it is. And I know for a fact that has happened to you, that you see this person, this individual, and it's like erupting, like irradiating all this potential. And you just have to wait until they figure it out. Because if you know, if you push it this way, they're going to go, no, that way. Okay. It's all about manifesting exactly what you're meant to be, even if we're afraid of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think the kicker for me was actually realizing that I had to do shadow work in order to dispel some fears. And it was so hilarious because I didn't know that I was ever going to do a shadow work. I'd gone into an art class, and it was a healing type of art class where the person that was doing it would offer Reiki healing. And she went around the group and she got to me and she pulled some things out of me. And I left that art class going, oh my God, my sight wasn't the same. My breathing wasn't the same. And I flipped out. I was like, she took something from me. Something's wrong. Everything in my house looked different and it freaked me out. The next day, my friend, I saw her and she's like, hey. And I was like, hey, I'm freaking out. She's like, well, did you ground from yesterday? And I was like, no. And she's like, well, get your butt in the grass and ground. I'm like, I tried everything. You don't think I tried it? I tried everything. It's not working. Something's not right.
But it feels amazing, doesn't it?
Well, it didn't for me. It like freaked me out.
It's like getting up. And this was my experience. I know exactly what she's talking about. The light hits things in a different way. You're more vibrant. Everything is more vibrant. You can feel everything. It's like being high after you're 40 for the first time. And then you're asking your grandkids, is this supposed to be like this? Is this supposed to be like this?
It didn't feel right at first. It took me to go into a few other more shadow sessions after that to feel that everything was okay. And my friend was like, I know exactly what's going on with you. And I contacted her, the one that gave me the healing, and she was like, it's okay. This is completely normal. But I said, what did you remove from me? And she said, I removed a little shadow that shouldn't have been there. And I was like, oh, and she goes, and I'm getting a whole bunch of confirmations right now that you're sitting on the sideline and that you're supposed to be fully on the court and that you have to get your shadow work done in order to do this. And after you do that, your whole world will change. And so I got the confirmation within myself that that's what I had to do. So I hooked up with her, got it all done. And it was amazing after that point. I have never felt better. I'm just, all the fear left, everything left, and all the blessings started coming in. And I've seen that so many times with people over and over and over again, and in myself, that they come into a path like this of metaphysics or whatever, and they get to that borderline of, are you going to level up or not? Are you going to go back? Are you going to, some people go into Christianity. That's when I went into Christianity, was into fear. And it only put me back into more fear and more stuckness and more staleness, not in the belief in Jesus, but just in immersing myself and trying to figure it all out, you know? And so when I finally, I thought I had progressed beyond the borderline and leveled up, but I actually never did, because I never went through my shadow in order to get there. And so once I got into the shadow work and actually was brave enough to be like, screw it, I'm just going to do it, it was over. It was done. I don't think I'll ever experience that again. What happened with my shadow work was that I went into my true essence and my true self. I started remembering memories of practicing witchery when I was a little girl that I forgot about, playing with my parents' herbs in the cabinet, climbing up and eating herbs and mixing them together. And I didn't know what I was doing. But I look at all that now and I'm like, this is my essence. And going through the shadow work, I think, helps you to get into your true essence, and it brings you into who you really are, so that you don't have fear of being who that is and going out and sharing your gift with the world. You know what I mean? And creating that.
I think that we are preconditioned to think, and this is honest. I was even thinking about what I call channeling other spiritualists, meaning that like Edgar Cayce or Alan Watts. And I was listening to one of Alan Watts' very old presentations about what is holding back us from attaining that enlightenment. And I think it's that preconditioning that we are just servants in a universe with one huge, angry, bipolar master.
Yes.
And I know, because I felt really comfortable in that arena for a very long time. So breaking away from that, I think it's one of the most complicated and most heart-wrenching aspects of any Christian and any pagan, any person, period. Because that detachment between the universe or God or everything that we think we have to aspire to, it seems so far away, and we seem so insignificant. But when we reclaim that power, we feel guilty.
Yeah.
We feel guilty, and we feel like we're doing something naughty and something that needs to be punished. And then we put ourselves in the same cycle. And at least for me, it took a long time just to recognize that I was in a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Of fear. Yeah. I'm gonna go there. I'm going there. And damn, I just called myself a hamster. But there is so many things out there that are just holding us back just because we don't want to. There are two types of people in the spiritual community: those that think that they're demigods, and those who think that they can never achieve any type of transcendence. And it's like that vicious cycle that we feed off each other. Do you think that that gets easier when you do your shadow work, or it's just something that's still in the, in the sticky notes? Deal with this.
I think it does get easier. I know for me that my very first session in shadow work was to get to know my shadows. And I thought that I was going to run into demons or what have you, or scary looking parts of myself. And what I ran into was the healer, the old wise woman, Indian type healer, from many eons in the past. And when I saw her again, I cried. That was a part of me that I loved so much. That was my soul, it was a reunion for me. It wasn't scary at all. There were some traumas in my life that I had to go through again. I had to really cry over the loss of my mother at the age of 26, and I had to go through not being a perfect parent myself, and things like that were very painful. But I would do it all over again. I would, because it had freed me up, and it clearing out the shadows got me in touch with love. When I cleared the fear away, the love came in. And I learned a long time ago in watching Jackie Dubois' channel, The Moon Mother. She had said in a few videos a few years back, and I'm sure she still says this, that there's only two types of things in the world. There's fear and there's love. And you can either have fear, you can live in fear, or you can live in love. And fear cannot live in love, and love cannot live in fear. They cannot exist together at all. And so when I did my healings, I think it dispelled all of the fear, and it got rid of all of that and cleared the way. And I ended up feeling so much love. My friend taught me how to do personal meditations, and I went into meditation to get in touch with the etheric field, and I felt my guides and my ancestors, and it was just so, I would be crying in meditation. It was just, the love was just overwhelming and promising, and I was like, shadow work is nothing to be afraid of. Everybody does it differently, and some people have to, but I think in the end it opens you up to love. And I know that it did for me, and like I said, I would do it over and over again, because and I was one of those people that gritted my teeth and was like, I'm not doing that. I've seen people do that, and I've seen them become somebody that I don't want to become. And but you only become who you truly are in doing shadow work. You will never become who you see, on a YouTube video or whatever, that other person who that's their portrait of who they are in their shadow work. And so the woman that presented herself to me, my very first shadow session, was the old woman, the wise woman, the healer, the shaman. And I just fell to my knees in tears and was like, I love you. I love you. And that was it. That was my, and it's different for everybody.
You see, this is the type of testimony that really liberates. And this is coming from a person that have tried, you know how they say that all roads lead to Rome? Mm-hmm. That has a shocking punch in this particular topic, because you can do it the hard way, you can do it the easy way, which is 10 times worse than the hard way, or just pretend that you're half-assing it all the time and still reach it. It's going to take longer, it's going to be more painful, but it needs to be done. And I have done all of them.
Yeah, I think I have too.
Yeah, all of them, especially the long, hard, unnecessary, when you go in cycles and cycles and cycles, and you end up in the same place. It's life-changing, but when you look back and you say, I wouldn't have this if I had gone through all of that, then it makes you, it's not a fear, it's the realization that I cannot regret anything. Because if I regret just one move, the rest of the learning experience is going to be completely lacking in something important.
Yeah. It all lines up. Everything in somebody's life lines up from the moment they are created in their mother's womb to the point that they are at now. Everything. If I could look back on my whole entire life, I would say everything was lined up perfectly. Everything. Like, what 10-year-old crawls up on their parents' herb cabinet, like to get into their herb cabinet and like start messing with the, like, I don't know. And the fascination with keys and playing cards, looking at the face of the Queen of or, you know, I'm mixing up playing cards with tarot, but we'll just
I
go
do
with
that
it.
all the time. I do that all the time. Why? Because as a little girl, I knew for some reason, and I come from a place that you would not do that in public. You know, wouldn't tell anybody that you're doing that. Why? Because that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
People that do that, it's bad. But you are also hyper aware that this has been done and that has been used by people, and people that consider themselves good people, and for some reason they can channel energies, and for some reason they can talk to the spirit. And literally, I'm talking about if you want to say spirit or your higher consciousness or the Holy Ghost, it doesn't matter how you freaking want to put it. It doesn't matter what religion or path you are, there is always that person that it doesn't matter how bad or how flawed their belief system is, they're so given and so transparent. I don't know if you have ever met a person like that. That, I don't know, it's an innocence and it's a faith that you would just love to have and love to protect.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the conscious manifestation of that blind faith, like going through the fire and coming out spectacular. Mm-hmm. Spectacular. But that's one of the things that I have learned from bringing back what I am related to Christianity, what the pagan path and what the in the between my own spirituality has developed into. One of the things that I have learned from you girls is that because mistakes were made in a specific religion or a specific belief, that doesn't mean that it wasn't necessary.
Right.
As painful as that may be, as broken as you may have been, and if you started within a religion or no religion at all, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in spirituality or any religion whatsoever, there is a reason for growing within it, because it was already a part of you and a part of me. And I started to love that again. And that is something that I haven't had in a long time. And it's like being estranged from your parent. Mm-hmm. It feels a lot like that. Like you're betraying the memory of your parent, but you're still pissed at it. So you don't know how to go about that one, but you love them, and you know where I'm going with this. Yes. And that has been the type of shadow work that I unknowingly have gone through in these past couple of weeks. That what is my part in this? And honestly, I really like where it's getting me, because I have met, and I talk about you guys all the time with other people. I met these ladies, and you have no idea, and I have learning so much from them, and there is this sincerity and very black and white, like Autumn, that woman. Every time that I read something that she posts, I just have to try not to pee myself because she's so freaking hilarious. and these women are so full of that truth, that we are not broken just because we seek our truth in different ways. And we shouldn't be ashamed of it either.
Right.
It doesn't matter what it is. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the biggest thing, because I have met a whole bunch of many Christians that practice witchcraft, but they would never call themselves any other thing than a Christian. Mm-hmm. And I have never met people that they were so rooted on their true self that could actually become the craft within being Christian. And that in itself, that's why I chose the rose, the blooming rose, or the rose of Jericho behind it. That is the reason, because that's exactly how I see you guys. Nobody can run over these ladies. Nope. No, they might go to sleep. They could live forever like the rose of Jericho. Just need a little bit of water and they go, foop. What do you need? What do you need?
Like the character in the Batman movies. What is the character in the Batman movies one of those movies? Maybe it's Roger Rabbit where they run him over or whatever. He flattens and he just pops up and he's like, "Hey, I'm back. Hey, I'm back."
But it is.
Might be an Elton John song too that I can't think of.
Elton John.
Dang it, I can't think of it. I will.
Oh my goodness.
If I do it a second, I'll blurt it out for you.
What is the part of your craft that you love doing for yourself? That it can be reading tarot, it can be tinkering in your kitchen.
Oh my gosh, for myself?
Yes.
All of it. Crystal oil. Well, I used to love crystals. I don't work with them so much anymore. I think it would be candle magic right now. It changes with the seasons. Like when I started years and years ago, it was tarot. It was everything tarot. And then it went into crystals, and then it was, my three favorites are my card reading, my candle workings, and my crystals, and just working with my herbs and my crystals in all of those combined. You know, I'm trying to think, looking at my altar here, what else do I love to, I think that's pretty much it.
What would be the thing that people recognize you the most within your craft?
Oh my gosh.
That they think about that and they say, yep, that's Kristin. Yeah, that's her.
I don't know. I really don't know. Like aesthetically, like I don't know. I think that because my videos in the past have been more God-centered and Christian, Christo-pagan, if you will, or Christian witchery. I think it would be more my philosophies as far as how I look at Jesus and things like that. That
there it is.
People, I think that's what people would recognize me with. That but I don't know. Like yeah, I don't know. I think that would be it.
Do you think we're ready to have certain conversations? Because I was reading in the group chat a couple of days ago that sometimes some people still get very sensitive and about certain topics within the Christian community and the Christo-pagan community, to say the least. I don't see those type of conversations directly, for example, from the Appalachian witches. They use their Bible. That's what they do. That's what Appalachian folk magic is. Using the saints and using the Bible to actually cast spells. Do you think that we're ready to have certain conversations about within the Christian community about what witchcraft is, and that maybe they're practicing without even knowing it? Do you think we're ready for that?
I think we're getting really, really close. I think we are. If it's safe to say, yes, we are at that 100% level, I think. Excuse me. And the mainstream, maybe as like on a scale of 1 to 100, maybe 95%, maybe a little bit more. But there's so much metaphysics and there's so much new age and talk of light that's being pumped into Christianity, even in the mainstream, excuse me, oh my gosh, even in the mainstream communities. Like, for instance, I was telling my stepmother-in-law the other day, of my business and what it entails, and I was using the word witch in front of her and how that related to me and how it was a loaded word and things like that, and she was completely fine with all of it. She was very open-minded. I didn't detect any standoffish body language from her at all. She's very religious. She comes from a Methodist background. Her father was a preacher. And so she asked me about my website, wanted to check it out, and has been commenting on my business posts. So that was a huge sign for me that I think that more and more Christians are going to become open to what I call, like I described it to her, which is a word to describe just holistic practice. I mean, you can use your oils for healing, you can use the candles for healing, or whatever it is, dirt off the ground that has no magical, we don't think it means anything. I mean, Jesus did this, the dirt, in a spit on Lazarus, but to heal the blind, but that's all it is. It's just working with Mother Nature to create a change through ourselves with the guys, or with not the guys, but with the help of the Father.
And that now that you mentioned that, yes, we do have a modern day age that have been used for thousands of years, that it's the equivalent of taking up the dirt with saliva and curing any ailments. And it just leeches, maggots. Those are instruments that still are being used, and this is the nurse talking around right now, that are still being used in hospitals, because the maggots, they only eat necrotized tissue, and so as leeches, they help with amputees and people recovering the blood flow to their limbs. The secrets to healing ourselves, we come from the earth. So of course, in the earth, we're going to find the cures of all ailments. And that is something that we as a human race, inside, for example, a religion or being Christian, we put a lot of faith in God healing us, but we're not stupid. Of course, we're going to go to the doctor. Well, everybody, especially if they're related to me, they don't like the doctor either. So, but we recognize that all of those processes come from the earth. Your blood pressure medicine, and most of your aspirin comes from the bark of a tree. We have to understand that all of that is already nature, with the 5,000 other ingredients that are not that healthy for you, but it still has
pharmaceuticals. The pharmaceuticals use natural, like we use the essential oils and stuff. Well, they're already using a lot of that natural chemical to create your antidepressant medications or your antibiotics. It's already there. It's just been hidden from us, turned around, put a different label on it to make it look like something else, so that we couldn't see, or we had to grow and be dependent on someone else instead of our own selves to heal, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And I remember back when I was little, my great grandmother she was really old, and she would, whenever somebody would get a tummy ache or something, you go to the backyard and you see the third tree from the left, you're going to pick me 5 of those leaves. You're going to go to the 6th tree near the fence, and you're going to dig right next to the corner, and you're going to find some ginger there, and you're going to bring it to me. And she would boil all of those things. That's for that. Yes. And I learned after that each of those ingredients had anti-inflammatory properties. It had this special chemical that would actually kill the infection. They know, and this is from a person that had a 3rd grade education. This is what we miss, and this is what we're trying to get back. When we know where we're at, we know how to heal ourselves.
Yes. It's more important than education for me. That may sound bad. I mean, I'm a supporter of my children being educated and everybody else being educated, but I think that there is a fundamental thing that has been missing out of the whole world society, other than in Native populations, that is preventing us from being kind, healed, balanced human beings. And it all goes back to being tied and having that love and that bond for the mother and what she gives us. If we can heal that, and we can raise the next generation of babies to be hippies and heal that, we are good. I have a bumper sticker on my fridge that says, "Save the world, raise a hippie."
I can definitely go behind that, because it is true. It is true. There is some sort of liberty when you actually know that, and this is coming from somebody that have no money whatsoever. You know how amazing it feels to know that you can actually put together something with ginger, with mint, with a bit of chamomile, anti-inflammatory, cloves, and to do the exact same thing if I don't have the money to actually go to the grocery store and get Dayquil or something like that. That is the same thing, and actually fortifies your body. and this is coming from a person that her health is and I'm really trying, but it we have to realize that not everything we can go to the store and buy it, because it's not viable. And I think it's like you said, raise a hippie, save the world. Because those are the people that know how to grow tomatoes and know how to have their own herb garden. And I'm learning about mulch, so I'm trying. I have a black thumb, so I'm really trying. The only thing that I've been able to actually, that it doesn't die, is cacti.
Oh yeah. and I'm being really good to myself right now. They're still dying, but that's not the point. The point is that we have to get back to the simplest things, and that's something that witchcraft does. It makes us do things on purpose, like doing little dolls, and you have to learn how to sew to do that, or things like that. Learning. And I had a student once that I was teaching a class in folk magic and how to make puppets, and she said, "But I don't know how to sew. Do you know how to put a button on?" And I said, "Oh," and I said, "No, why? Can I use glue?" And I said, "Oh, honey, you need a lot to learn, but go." Do you know how to make a phone call? I put on my cell phone. And I said, "Oh, God." Yeah, we have to relearn how to be human and connect with the simple things of creating something instead of, buying it, something that we're going to ignore the next day. But it is what it is. What would be the one piece of advice that you would give any new witches or people that are starting or thinking about this path? Okay, so the one thing that I would teach new witches, take your time and follow your heart. If you start to get in a place of fear, keep following your heart.